About that IAU mud valve. You guys have been using it now for almost 4 years. Todd was one of the first people to get it down here, and it is now pretty much the standard issue on every new build that is coming out of Nomad, Paps, and Cactus, Unit, Trinidad, Neighbors Offshore, and there's a reason, and Todd recognized it right out of the gate, but that it is the safest, it is the most accurate, and it is the most dependable top-off that's on the market today. Otherwise, we couldn't take in all those companies in just such a short period of time. Has anybody not used this valve? Anybody in here not used the valve? So everybody has it. Okay, excellent. Well, before we get into the actual functioning of this valve, I want to talk to you about what exists out there in the market today and what you've pretty much had to use for your whole life. You had two types of choices, right? You've had either a shear pin valve or you've had a manual reset with springs. So we need about a minute on each of those just to talk about the safety, because we said that it's the safest, ours is. So what are some of the safety issues that you know on a shear pin valve? If you can't find a pin, what have people used in the past? I see a big smile, a big grin. What do they use?
I've seen some big nails in them.
Some big nails, catch. Big nails.
And questions, you're getting proud.
And what else have people stuck in them?
Allen wrench.
Allen wrench. Yeah, that's definitely good for one, right? Okay, so, and what happens is now your valve is in an overpressure situation and your people are in jeopardy. Okay? Now, out in the Permian, sometimes those guys are drilling with 500, 900, I mean nothing, you know? But everywhere else, 3,000, 35, 4, and above. What happens to that valve, that type of shear pin valve, when you are pumping at around 3,000 or 3,500? It pops. What happens next?
Blows the rubbers apart.
Bingo! It blows the rubber. It blows the rubbers apart. There you go.
Cut him off.
Blows the rubbers apart. Blows the rubbers apart, and and also the steel. Steel is shot too. So you usually have to rebuild that entire valve on every pop after right around 3 to 3,500. That's the cutoff point, salvation or death. So let's move on, and we'll go to the manual resets, the springs. So it's good, you've installed it, you've been using it for a few weeks, it's popped a few times. And you can usually get somewhere around 3 or 4 out of that without any problems. But now it starts to leak. So somebody says, hey, valve is leaking. Go see if you can stop it. What do the guys do? What do the guys do because that spring-loaded valve is leaking? Nobody?
I ain't never used one of them.
Never used one. There is an adjustment nut. There's a threaded rod down the center. You got 2 springs. You got an adjustment rod, threaded rod right here with a nut. And so the guys go in and they tighten it down. Well, if it was set correctly for 35 or 4 to begin with, where is it now? 45? 5? 55? 6? Who knows? So those are some of the issues that exist with that technology. Not to poke either one in the eye, it's just sort of limitations for that product. That is ours, and you'll see, you've all used it, so there's a pin in here, and there's a tab. We're going to be talking about this, but again, that's the picture. And you can't see it on this picture, but you all know that there's a flow arrow here. So our valve, the flow comes up from here, goes up and out, which is totally different than any other valve in the market. We're going to talk next about the pins, because that is the controlling mechanism for this product are the pins. Now that graph, or that what we got up there talks about Euler's law. And Euler's law says that if I know the length of a pin, and I know the diameter of the pin, and I know the elasticity of the metal, I can calculate exactly where that pin will buckle every single time. Now, in the fact that you sometimes want to pull out a green pin and put in a yellow pin, put in a red pin, put in a black pin, the overall height of these pins has to be the same. But what we call the active length of the height changes. And we do that by these poker lens. You can see between, take this one and the green one, there's a good 1.5 inches. There's almost 2, there's 2 inches on each side. I just made this pin's active length 4 inches longer than this one. Yet I can still put in a quote-unquote 4-inch longer pin by just pulling it out, putting it in. You see what I'm saying? Is it easier for you to bend a long stick or a short stick? Long stick. So if I lengthen this pin, it's going to pop higher. I'm sorry, it's going to pop lower. It's going to pop lower because it's a longer pin. And now as the pressure just went up, so that's what's happening. Now, there's a day's going to come when you're going to call me and you're going to say, Michael, I got 2 green pins here. They just came in. And I feel them, they feel the same, look the same, but one's got a huge end on it, and the other's got a small end on it. And I'm going to tell you, it's okay. Because we talked about the length of the pin, we talked about the diameter of the pin, so far so good, same. But what you can't see is the elasticity of this metal that's in here. So the rod stock that they pulled off the shelf is different on this one than it is on this one, just the elasticity of it. So when they make these, they actually destroy them. They have to. So it's not a problem when you go into your pin drawer, your pin box, and you got one that looks like that and one that looks like that. Okay, so you're good. So we covered that slide, length, diameter, elasticity. We can figure that out. Now, this slide is saying that there's only 2 positions of the pin. It is either straight or it is buckled. That is a fantastic slide from one standpoint, because when you are drilling down and you hit that kickoff point and you start to stall and that pressure starts to build, that pin will take that spike and hold it as long as you don't go past the elastic limit. And then you come off it and it'll straighten right back out again. And your driller's pushing a little too hard and pressure's going up. If he comes off a little bit, that pin will straighten right back out again. And the key point in that is that the pin is as strong when that's all done 10 years from now as it is the day you put it in. Because the physics of it say that you can do that forever as long as you don't go past the elastic limit. Anything from here to here, you do not change the strength of that pin. But once it buckles, it's over. Okay, that's what that slide is all about. Now let's look at the actual guts of the valve. And I'll ask, you all know that our inlet, we already covered it, our inlet is here, right? Comes in the side. And the outlet is here. We have a seat cage, which is this. And you'll see that the holes that are right here in the seat cage. And in this case, we'll put it this way. And on your piston, you have 2 seals. You have an upper seal and a lower seal. It'll be like this. So now, you can see where the mud is coming in, and it's coming right between O-ring 1 and O-ring 2. I'm going to pass these around. O-ring 1 and O-ring 2. Now you will see above, or you'll see right below O-ring 1, the top one, there's a ledge here, right? And there's also a ledge here. These 2 ledges, we are going to call them pressure sensing area 1 and pressure sensing area 2. This is, we're getting to the meat of what we want you to take away from today's meeting here. Those 2 ledges add up to 1/4 of 1 square inch. Now, how many of you have had valves that have popped early? Your pins are popping early. This is a seal. That's what it looks like. There's some flashing on this one. You guys can take a look at the flashing. If you have seals with flashing on it, they're old seals. Doesn't mean they're bad, but they're old seals. The new ones won't be coming with flashing. Now, Do you see the wash? It's a little, you know, we don't have a great picture here, but you can see where it's cutting away. When you look at the seal I just passed around, it's pretty straight all the way down. There's no groove in here. There's no wash on that seal. But in this case, I said this ledge and the one above it that's proud, I just pointed to this ledge right here, and this ledge add up to 1/4 of 1 square inch. What is happening when this seal starts to wear, starts to get chewed up? What's happening? What? Yeah, that's not where I'm going. I'm coming to him. We're going to come back to the, let's stay there. Let's stay there. He said it's weakening it. If I needed this whole seal to provide a stable seal, what do I have if I only had half of it? I don't have the strength. Yeah, we can seal. I don't have the strength. So even though that seal is getting eaten up, it's still bubble tight. It's not leaking yet. We got half the seal. It's holding, but it's about ready to let go. Okay, so you're right on that. You're right on that. But what else? There's something else. There's something in regards to that 1/4 of 1 square inch that I'm driving home.
You've increased that.
Bingo. Guys, that is the key takeaway of today's training is you have just created a third sensing area. If pressure sensing area 1 plus pressure sensing area 2 equals the force being applied to the pin, you now have at every line pressure, you've got a third sensing area that is pushing more force on the pin. Do you realize that pressure is not force? The calculation for force is pressure times area. So before I was only counting 2 surface areas, now I'm counting 3. And so as that seal continues to wear, look at this one. Big chunk, right? All the way around. As the seal continues to wear, the sensing area is getting bigger. Thus, the valve is popping lower at every line pressure. So you got a 5,000 pin in, and maybe you're used to popping somewhere around 48, 47, 48, and now it's 46 and 45 and 44, and you're calling me up on the phone and saying, I've just gone through a box of pins, what is going on? And that's what's happening. That valve is talking to you. It is saying to you, the seal is going. You know how much that seal costs? 35 bucks. How much does a rebuild kit cost? The rebuild kit is just under 2 grand. Yeah, just under 2 grand is a rebuild kit. So what the IOM doesn't say this, but best practices right now is saying that if you take this seat cage out once a quarter and put your never sees on here, change the seals that are on the pistons, you guys will be in good shape. Because what the guys forget to do, if you look at your brochure here, right there is a greaser. And that greaser puts grease on these threads, and so you can get it out. If you don't put grease on there, it's not coming out. Robert Kitchens put a forklift on it in Pearson with a 10-foot cheater and a 48-inch pipe wrench. What happened? He broke the pipe wrench. Yeah, that was not coming out. So that's a boat anchor. So if you keep it, if you do it once a quarter, you probably won't have any boat anchors. You'll be throwing some of these away when you wash them, but you won't be throwing away a $5,000 valve. Okay? Okay. Any questions in regards to the seals and anything that you've experienced or seen? Anybody seen the seal in a condition like this? Either that one or that one? Yeah, yeah. And it's normal. I mean, it just happens over time. But if you do it once a quarter, you should be in good shape. Now, that's a picture of the seat cage. And when the valve does start to leak, you will get a wash just like any other valve. And that's right down here at the bottom. When you seat these all the way down, and you can see where that seal comes in, it's coming in right here. Okay? So when you, if you ever have a situation where you're taking it apart, you always want to shoot a light down there. You need to clean it out. Clean it out with a rag to make sure you have a good, clear visual. But if you have any dimples in this surface, you got to trash it. Because you're going to, you know what, it's already down. I mean, you're already got it apart. You don't want downtime to, you know, later on. So it's just a matter of hours or days if there are dimples in that seating surface before it goes on here. Okay? We're gonna take a quick look here at a simple rebuild, and then we're gonna go out into the shop, because I got the trailer there, and we're gonna do some demos out in the shop. But let's watch this video here. This is our national sales manager, and he is going to do a real fast tear apart and put back together.
Hi, my name is Travis Pike with Rupture Pin Technology. Today we're here to disassemble and reassemble our mud valve. Today in particular, we're going to be disassembling our Model IA, which handles pressures from 500 to 6,000 psi. Also note that our Model IB, which handles pressures from 500 to 10,000, is a very similar process. However, it has a separate rebuild kit. Make sure you order the correct rebuild kit from your representative.
This is what an IBU piston looks like. You folks, most of your valves are IAU valves. That means that they go to 6,000 psi. The IBU valves goes to 10,000. If you look in your brochure here, you will see valve 1, 2, 3 all have sort of dimples in the body, just like this one. And those are cast valves. The bottom right-hand corner, you'll see the body is smooth. That is made out of roll stock. And then they chop it up into like Tootsie Rolls, and then they drill it out, and that's how they build that. And that's why that valve goes to 10,000. But the parts inside are identical, excluding this bushing right now. But the day is coming, and I don't know how many of you may have the IBU valves, but the day is coming that everything is going to be identical. At one point in time it was, and now they're going back to all the internal components being identical in either the IA or the IB. So I just want you to know that you can see right here, IA, IB, and one of these days you'll say, Michael, it doesn't have that gold thing on there anymore. The gold thing is gone. Okay?
The first step in disassembling the mud valve is to take the pin out. You simply unscrew the top nut.
You guys know that you're not supposed to use any tools on that top nut. You don't crank it down with a pair of channel locks. You don't get a crescent wrench. Just the tools God gave you, just your fingers. If you cannot put that piston down and have it do that, metal to metal, you have a problem. It should be able to go all the way down like that without, I mean, it's right here. You just go, and we'll do it in the and we'll go out to the shop. You'll see what I'm talking about. But you shouldn't have to whack it down. You shouldn't have to hit it. Use any tools. Just your fingers.
Just pull the pin. The second step of the process is to remove these 12 bolts here. Now we're ready to remove the top works.
On the top works, you never want to take those top works apart. I have gone to rigs when I've gone to do service, and they will have the valve sitting there at the trailer. and they will have everything laid out, and they will even have the entire TopWorks assembly disassembled, posts, nuts, lock washers, all laid out for me in a row. Guys, you never want to take this apart. It's not so much a headache, but there is trouble involved if you take it apart and you don't do it right and put it back together. Many times people will take it apart, they'll leave it on the rig in a horizontal position when they put it on, and it just throws everything out of alignment. When this valve has to work in perfect alignment from the bottom of where the piston is, the pressure is, to this pin. And if you hear that suction, the tolerances are so tight that it has to be perfect. And when you put it in, somebody put it in, and it's just a little ink, it ain't gonna work. It's not gonna work right. Your pins are going to be popping off because you're either 2 degrees, 3 degrees, 5 degrees off, and that makes all the difference in the world in making the valve work right or wrong. Okay, so we don't want to take the TopWorks apart. We just take the TopWorks off as one piece, put it on ground.
With your TopWorks removed, you have two main seals to check. You have one on the outside and one on the inside. For the model IBU, our higher pressure valve, you'll have one on the outside and two on the inside.
And when I talk about the quarterly maintenance, you don't even need to do all the seals, just the ones on the piston. When you take it off once a quarter and you change seal 1 and seal 2, and you put never sees, take this out too, put never sees on there, that's all you gotta do. Let's O-rings, all O-rings, not just mine, all O-rings on the planet. When you put them in, grease them. Always grease them. O-rings are not intended to go in dry. Always do them. Put them, grease them up, slide it on there, put some on there like that, done. Yeah, you don't have to worry about it. Some people don't know that. Some people think, not supposed to have it, but you are.
Next, we'll remove the sleeve and the all threads.
And that sleeve sometimes rattles. It's not a problem. It's just a spacer is all it is.
On the left, you'll notice the all thread with a holding nut for the Model IA, our lower pressure valve. On the right, for our Model IB, the heavier pressure valve, you notice a heavier duty bolt. The disassembly process is exactly the same for both valves.
You'll notice that you can see the never sees. It's on here. That's okay. That's there. I'm going to show you these Nordlock washers when we go out to the trailer. You'll notice that there are teeth here on the bottom and the top, but this is a better picture to where it's a ramp. It's not the same teeth. And so with a Nordlock washer, when you go to unscrew it, you have to get tighter. You have to go up over both ramps just like this to back it off. Just like this. And it actually takes you 30 foot-pounds more to break it loose than you put it on. They got a patent on it. We don't have a patent. Wherever we get them from has a patent on it, or Sweden or Switzerland or whatever. But they're called Nordlock washers, and they come in pairs. Sometimes I'll go on service calls. They've got them separated. They got them put in crazy places. They just go under the nuts, and they come in pairs. Ramp to ramp, teeth are just on the outside.
Next, we'll remove the seat cage. With the entire TopWorks, the piston, and the seat cage removed, you're able to check the body of the valve. Next, you will pull the piston out of the seat cage and verify that the seat cage is in good operating condition. With your piston removed, you have three main items to check: your bumper and your two main seals. Should you need to replace the seals, you remove the piston nut with an Allen wrench, taking everything out in this direction, replace your two seals, and assemble back. Then you're ready to go.
Now the torque on this is like 450 foot-pounds. I wouldn't tell you to torque it, I'll just tell you to get down on it. Because again, you have the Nordlock washers that are on there, and that's the torque on these are just 65 foot-pounds. So pretty light on the top, heavy on the piston.
Verify all your parts are in good operating condition. You want to re-grease all seals, starting with the piston. You just use a dollop of grease. Make sure you have complete coverage of all seals. With the seals properly lubricated, now we're ready for reassembly. We'll start with the seat cage by adding some anti-seize to the threads. Now we're ready for actual reassembly of the valve. We'll start by placing the seat cage back into the body. This is where the anti-seize lubricant helps keep the seat cage from locking up. You want to make sure
When you put that in, you'll notice that there's a shoulder here. And the shoulder, it is just flat, okay? And it just mounts, everything, it just mounts to the valve body surface. Same thing with the retaining nut that goes right there, right in that hole. It is also, it's got a shoulder on it. Everything just, there's no tapers. Everything is just flat. Once it gets there, it doesn't get any tighter. So just, you know, where it mates, we're done.
sure that the cage is well seated, not too tight. Next, we'll add the piston to the seat cage.
Pause there on the bumper. Guys, it is critical that the bumper that goes on top, and you have an explosion drawing in your brochure to where you can see it, it's right there. It is critical that nobody puts this together without a bumper. Now, we've probably all worked on cars, and I've worked on a lot of these, and I can tell you that every once in a while when you say, oh shoot, you left something off and you got to take it back off again, and you're right. Well, it's the same thing here. If you ever put that back together and you see that bumper laying there, you got to take it back off. Now let's talk about why. If you didn't have that bumper on there, and you have, well, that's called a bonnet. It comes next to either a bottom plate or a bonnet, and that piston keeps coming up and going whack, whack against the bonnet. What is going to happen to that bonnet? It's going to bow. That's right. So it's going to bow like this, right? Now there's a hole right through the center of this. What is going to happen to the top of the hole? This is 1 inch thick. What is going to happen as I do this? What is going to happen to the top of the hole? It's going to open it up. You don't get you can't keep What happens to the bottom of the hole? Closes. Why am I drilling on this? When it closes on the piston stem. You were calculating force on the pin to buckle this pin and relieve the valve with everything moving nice and easy, right? But now you just pinched down on this stem. Where's it going to pop now? Only God knows. Yeah. So the term is it's going to crown. It's going to open up, it's going to dome up, it's going to crown the top, and it's going to pinch the bottom. So I like people to know why we say don't do something, because when you realize you stick your finger in the socket, you get a jolt, what's going to happen when you leave that bumper out, so that you say, guys, that fixed it. Okay, questions on that?
So you need to change that bumper guard, that bumper rubber too.
Only when it's destroyed. They do get destroyed. The old bumpers have holes in them. And you can see the holes if you look at this one. There are holes around. It's like when they mold it. It's like they shoot air in it. You know, so and you'll see that. But the new bumpers are a solid, almost like this, but longer. They're about 1.5 inches long, and probably about that thick. So they are changing. Okay? But the only time you need to change them is when they're wrecked. You don't have, there's no reason to throw them.
Next, we'll add our all threads to the body.
There's all threads in the body, which he's putting in, and there are also all threads in here. Guys have told me that they have busted them. Now, I don't know how they have busted them, but they said they have. And then they replaced them with regular all thread. Problem is, and then the valve doesn't work right. Anybody know, give me an idea as to why the valve won't work right with general all thread versus our all thread? One is hardened, one is plain old soft steel. When the soft steel starts to stretch, those degrees, those 2, 3, 5 degrees that I talked about, if you rebuilt that top work, so those hanging down, those same degrees are now being created as the all thread stretches. So don't put regular old cheap all thread in there.
Now we're ready for the sleeve. Now we'll add the top works.
All in one piece.
Now that your top works is in place, and prior to installing your nuts, you want to make sure your Nordlock washers, that the mating faces are facing each other correctly.
And there's a right way and a wrong.
With everything in place, now you want to tighten your nuts in a normal cross pattern with 75 pounds of torque. The last and final step of the reassembly process is adding the pin and the holding nut. You only tighten the holding nut hand tight. We recommend 1 pump of grease to the greaser each week for the ease. Any additional questions, you can reach out to your local rep.
So, and he touched a point that I didn't touch on yet, and that was in regards to once a week you make your rounds, 1 to 2 shots of grease as you make your rounds, you know, every single week. Any questions from anybody on anything that you've seen so far? This is online. You can see this online. The reason I put it in here is because many of you have not seen a pin pop. You know they pop, but you've never seen one pop. We're going to do them again out there, but this is the big ICU valve. So this one goes to 15,000 on the frac trucks. Okay, so we'll play this again, and you can watch that pin bend. There is to it. Got an explosion drawing. This is one of the older ones, the new ones we've incorporated into the brochures that we have there in front of you. You have your color-coded pin chart that's in there. You will also notice that on the back there is a safety cage that's here. Most of you should already have those. If you don't, tell your superintendent. He'll get with Todd or with Tom Bynum, but you'll get them ordered. The purpose of that is not to protect against pins flying through the air, but to keep guys' hands from going in there as they're climbing and doing things and having it go off just at the wrong time, and some guys' hand will never be the same. So that's what that is for. So a couple reasons, you know, we already talked about being the safest accurate, most dependable? Well, you got protected people, you got less maintenance, you got lower operating costs. Those are the reasons that people love it. And it just works and works with no grief. Questions? Anything? Todd? Anything?
I just keep up with your little booklet there and train your derrick man, your drillers on what to look for, you know. They know if it starts popping a little early, they know what to start looking for. You know, if it starts leaking, you know what's going on. It can be a real cheap $35 cost, or if you ignore it, it'll be a real expensive cost.
I don't recommend changing O-rings every third pop.
Every third pop, that makes sense to me.
And $100 a whole lot cheaper than
Yes, it is.
16, 18.
Okay, guys, let's go out to the trailer and we'll pop some pins out there.
Good booty.